Hello and welcome to the final episode of our Starting a Career in Early Years series, where in this session we will be exploring how to be the best at interview. Final part of our ongoing series supporting those who are looking to start or move to a career in the early years. In our previous episodes, we discussed how you might go about looking for a new position and the kind of things you might be looking for in a new role. Asking questions such as what will involve, where should I look, and finding ways to figure out if the job is right for you. In the previous episode, we looked specifically at the practicalities of the application process, such as how to use a job description, putting your CV together, and giving you some top tips for those initial steps. In this episode, we will focus on how to prepare for an interview once you've received that much anticipated invitation. So, congratulations, you've been invited to interview. First of all, be practical. As soon as you've had your invite, take note of date and time of the interview. If you are currently working or at college, make sure you inform your manager or tutor so that you can request the sufficient time off to attend. Make sure that you can confirm that you will be attending. If you are unclear of any of the details regarding the invite to interview, contact the setting to seek clarity. At this point, it's also important to inform the setting if you have any particular accessibility needs ahead of the interview. If for any reason you have decided not to proceed with the application and attend interview, it's also important as a matter of courtesy that you do contact the setting to let them know that you are withdrawing at this stage. If you've been asked to prepare anything ahead of the interview, for example, to do an activity as part of the interview process, do try to get ahead and start to prepare for that activity as soon as possible. Before the interview, it's important to research, remind and review. You will have no doubt researched the setting already during the application process, but it's always worth revisiting that research to refresh your mind ahead of the interview. If you haven't already done so, then it is worth carrying out research on the setting's website so that you understand exactly what they offer, what projects they are involved in, what their values are, knowledge about their Ofsted reports and things that they might be working on as a setting. If you can demonstrate your knowledge of the setting to the panel, you are demonstrating that you are a very keen candidate. It's also worth revisiting the job description and person specification at this stage too. One other thing that you might want to do is to check your own online presence beforehand to make sure that there is nothing on your own personal social media that could be searched ahead of the interview and could compromise your chances of getting the job. Before the interview, there are some practicalities that you might wish to consider. So, on the day, you will want to be punctual. So think about planning your journey to the setting well in advance. Check bus routes, bus timetables, think about parking, etc. if you're going to be driving there and whether or not there might be parking restrictions. Make sure that you prepare any necessary ID that has been requested for you to bring along with you. For example, any certificates of your qualifications, proof of identification and proof of eligibility to work in the UK. If you need any resources for any practical tasks that you are doing as part of the interview process, make sure that they are planned and prepared in advance and packed ready for your journey to your interview. Make sure that you know what you're going to wear. You'll want to look smart and professional so that you make a good impression. So you might want to choose your outfit in advance and make sure that it's cleaned and ironed and ready to go. But do think about choosing something that you are comfortable in, particularly if you are going to be engaging with the children as part of the interview process. If you feel comfortable, this can help you to feel more relaxed in the interview and that might enhance your performance as well. Be well prepared, get yourself a good night's sleep to help you to stay calm and don't forget to set that alarm clock in plenty of time as well. On the day, make sure that you have something to eat. You might feel like you're a bit nervous and you don't fancy any food, but if you have some food, it's really important for you to keep you energised. Make sure that you drink plenty of water to keep yourself hydrated so that you feel sharp and alert. And it's also quite a good idea to pop a bottle of water into your bag to take with you as well that you can have during the interview in case it's not provided. Another thing you'll want to do ahead of the interview is to practice. So search some sample questions that could be asked so that you can consider how you will answer them. Reflect on any anecdotes from first-hand experiences that you might be able to use to support your answers. Some questions will be a scenario-based question, so it's really good to be prepared to give solid answers for those questions. You might even want to consider taking part in a mock interview. Doing a mock interview can be very helpful and really allow you to prepare some quality answers. Refer to our supporting document, which outlines a selection of sample questions, and ask a friend or trusted colleague to use some of them to carry out the mock interview for you. Although you might find this a little bit uncomfortable, it really is great practice to help you construct and verbalise your answers to an audience. It's always better to take some time to practice with somebody who you feel comfortable with ahead of the interview, where obviously you will be speaking with strangers. You will most definitely be asked a question about your understanding of the EYFS framework and also around safeguarding, so do be prepared to give solid responses to these questions. When you get to the actual interview, think about your performance. You can expect that there will be at least 2 people that will likely interview you. Your interview might consist of a practical element. So, for example, you might be invited into one of the rooms to read a story or do an activity with a group of children. In addition, there will likely be a formal question and answer session too. It might just be that the interview is just based around a question and answer session on its own. Either way, it's important to consider the start of your interview from the moment you arrive. So do try to look professional and speak in a professional tone. Be friendly and polite. Be confident. Try to mask those nerves if you can. Try to relax and connect with the members of the panel by making eye contact and using positive body language. During the interview, don't be afraid to ask the panel to repeat a question if you haven't heard them properly. If you are unsure about what is being asked, then you are less likely to give a clear answer. So reaching out for clarification is perfectly fine. Try to talk as if you are already in the role. If you're trying to convince the panel that you are the right person for the job, then you also need to convince yourself first and believe in yourself. If you are asked to do a practical task as part of the interview process, try to contact the setting in advance so that you can find out about the cohort of children that you will be doing the activity with, find out about the number of children that will be present, and work out if there are any individual needs that you need to be aware of ahead of planning that activity. When you are doing the activity itself, use that as an opportunity to demonstrate effective interactions with the children and any other members of the staff that are in the room. And just be yourself. Enjoy this opportunity to reflect on all that you can do. You are celebrating you and all that you have to offer. This is your opportunity to show off everything that you can do and what you are capable of doing. You wouldn't have got this far if you weren't capable of doing the job, so just believe in yourself. During the interview, you will obviously want to stand out beyond the other candidates. So do try to show your genuine passion for the early years education. Try to think of specific examples from your own experiences that highlight your enthusiasm for working with children. Whether it's a creative activity that you've done, that you've designed, or a success story of a child that you've supported, or an interaction that you've had with a disgruntled parent, whatever it is, those personal anecdotes can really make your passion obvious and real so that the panel really get to know you and what you're about. Stay up to date with latest early years policy and framework changes. If you're a qualified educator, demonstrate your commitment to continuous learning by referencing any updates that you are aware of to the EYFS framework, showing that you are knowledgeable about current best practices will set you apart as a proactive and engaged individual. Demonstrate your knowledge of current issues impacting the sector that could be relevant to the role. So keep up to date with what's going on in the news and on social media. Some of those little golden nuggets can be really great to take forward and to discuss at interview. Highlight your creativity. Discuss some of the activities that you've planned that inspire curiosity and foster development. Whether that's a project that's been involved with engaging with families, an imaginative role play setup, or a revamp of the learning environment, something that you have had a hand in that has helped to highlight your creativity, can be really good to share. Showcase your commitment to your own professional growth. Talk about any additional qualifications or training that you have been involved in. Employers are always really keen to hear about what your personal interests are and what you're doing about it. So it could be that you have enrolled on a course about forest school training so that you can develop your knowledge and experience of using the outdoor provision with the children. If you've got a particular individual passion, then this is your opportunity to tell the panel about it as well, to show your real interests. So one technique that's used quite widely in interviews is the STAR technique. You might have come across it already. We've got an article on it on our website, and STAR is an acronym that each of those letters represent a different word for something for you to think through during the interview process. So the S represents situation, and the situation might be something that you have had to deal with. So when the question is framed to you, think about a time when you have had to deal with that situation. The T is for task. So think about the task that you did or that you were directed to do in line with that situation. Think about the specific action that you took. The A represents action. So think about the specific action you took. And then the R is about the result. So what happened as a result of the action that you took, and what did you learn from the experience? How did it impact on others around you, whether it was your colleagues, whether it was the children you worked with or the parents? What was the result? That's a really key thing at the end as well to reflect upon. Once you've made it through the interview, you can take a deep breath. And usually at the interview, somebody on the panel may ask you if you have any questions of your own. Sometimes we feel a little bit pressured that we should just ask a question for the sake of it. But it's worth avoiding the tendency to just ask something random for the sake of it. You don't have to ask a question if you don't have one ready. Think carefully about whether there is something else that you would like to know about the position of the setting. So it might be that you ask questions about what CPD opportunities are available at the setting. So any continuous professional development opportunities. You might want to ask a question about how staff wellbeing is supported at the setting. Are there any social events that take place at different times of the year that help to develop relationships amongst the staff? You might want to ask about any career progression opportunities that might be available at the setting, or if it's part of a wider chain, part of the organisation in the future. Somebody then on the panel should explain to you what will happen next, as in how long it might be before you will hear a response, or to let you know how you will be contacted. So they might say to you, make sure you've got your phone switched on because we'll call you after 3 o'clock today. That can be really helpful because then you know when to expect to get that feedback. Before you leave the interview, do take time to thank the panel for their time. It's not the easiest of processes. So for those people that are actually on the panel, it's quite a tough thing where you are appointing somebody and that you want to make sure that you're making the right decision. So just as you might have felt uncomfortable during the interview process, they also may have felt uncomfortable as well. So do thank them for their time and their commitment to the process. After the interview, you'll usually find out the outcome of the interview through a phone call from somebody that has been involved in the interview process. If you've not heard from anyone within the time frame that had previously been stated, then do not be afraid to get in touch to politely ask about the outcome. Hopefully, it will be good news for you. However, if you have been unsuccessful, the person making the call might offer a reason as to why. For example, the panel might have felt that you just didn't have enough experience for this particular role. You may be offered the opportunity to receive some detailed feedback on your interview performance, and it's your choice whether you choose to accept that feedback or not. If it's not offered though, but it is something that you feel would be beneficial, then do inquire about whether it is possible to arrange a quick call to receive some feedback. There could be something really simple about your performance at interview that the interviewer could give feedback about that would then help you moving forward to your next interview. Receiving feedback can be uncomfortable, but it can be a really useful process. But do be prepared for it to be a little bit uncomfortable, to hear about a flaw in your performance. So try not to take the feedback as a criticism or a fault, but instead use it as an opportunity to reflect upon and refine your future performance. So finally, do remember to check in with our Careers Pathways page to keep up to date with any new resources to support you as you move forward in your career. We wish you the very best of luck with any interviews that you might attend, and of course with your future career in the early years. We are here with all of our resources to help you along your journey, and we hope that you enjoy every moment of making a difference with the young children in your care. Good luck.